So this module is a technology-mediated task-based unit for adult language learners that are at a level 1 to 2 in WIDA. For this level of learners, the goal is to be able to create multiple related simple sentences and to express an idea with details. The focus of this particular unit here that I designed is adjectives, and adjectives are useful units of language that provide those details to an idea as these standards require. So in this module, students are introduced to almost 30 adjectives in the English language, and then I want them to become familiar with these adjectives in a variety of ways. The unit begins with an ungraded quiz so that I can determine what adjectives they already know, and once I establish that, I can focus on adjectives they're unfamiliar with. I made several pages of flashcards. I intended for them to be able to print those out and study those, and most of the classrooms I've worked in have students that don't all speak the same native languages, and therefore I made the flashcards with visual images of adjectives along with the English term rather than like translating it to Spanish or French or something. And that's also the reason why I linked some of my instructions to Google Translate, because I don't know what language people generally speak. And I just want it to be accessible to people that speak all different languages. And finally, before we begin our main task, I try to make a few videos of museum objects that are provided on a platform called Edpuzzle. This was my first experience with Edpuzzle. I'm having a little trouble with it, but I would like to use it in the future, so that's why I included it. And I want them to practice how listening to the adjectives, I want them to practice hearing how the adjectives sound. And it also kind of presents examples on how the adjectives are used in a museum setting, since the theme of our unit is museum objects. My main task, I wanted students to share an object that's important to them. I'm always inspired by museums, and I kind of wanted to bring some of that here. And with that in mind, I thought by having them share information about objects that are important to them would be a good way to make the language they learn for this unit feel more relevant. I also thought it would be an interesting way to learn about the culture and values of the students, because that's always interesting for me. And the main task requires students to upload a picture of their object to Padlet.com like we did in our class, and to describe their object in short related sentences that provide some details about the object. So first I asked them to describe the object in their own language, because I want to determine what adjectives they need to learn to describe it, because I might not know. There might be things that they have that I won't know. So this is also a needs assessment that fits in with the main task. And then I am having them use a voiceover using Vocaroo, because it just seemed like a really simple way to make a voice recording. And then the post-task summative assessments are performed on the 5 written sentences. I created a rubric for them and attached it. And a final summative assessment is given at the end in a quiz. And then I do formative assessments on the voiceovers, but I don't grade those because I just want people to improve, not so much they don't need more pressure on their pronunciation. And then they receive some instruction from me on how they can improve that pronunciation based on those recordings. And then some of the readings have stressed how important it is to have students assess their own performance, so I included that at the end so that they can start to be aware of certain ways their pronunciation may be impeding their ability to be understood by others.